In this video, I want to be talking all things balance and why I think balance is so important for all of us. I want to talk about why it's so important, how you can test yours, how you can take some everyday activities, apply our 3-point principle and make them balance exercises, and finally, some really specific exercises to improve your balance for your sport and exercise. Sound like something you want to hear? Make sure you stay tuned. Thanks for checking out the channel. My name's John. I'm the head therapist here at John W Sports Injury. If you are new to our channel, it's great to have you along. What we like to do is try to educate you to understand your bodies, get rid of any pain so you can achieve those sport, exercise and well-being goals. But today I want to talk about something that I think is fundamental for all of us, and that's balance. Why is balance so important? Well, let me ask you a question. If you were looking to build a house, how strong would you want the foundations to be? I'm guessing that the answer is very strong, because if not, we're going to get problems once we start to build. The reason I give you this example is because that's exactly how our bodies work. Most of our balance is controlled by our ankles and the messages that are being sent from our body to our brain. Now, we call this process proprioception, but essentially, put simply, it's how good we are at communicating with our brain about where we are to keep us positioned. And that's where balance comes into play. So if we have a good foundational support from our ankles and our feet, then ultimately we're going to be able to build stronger things on top. If not, then cracks will appear, imbalances will be a problem, and ultimately it might topple down, just like a house would. So that's why it's so important that we all want to improve our balances for whatever our sport and exercise goals. So how can you be testing your balance? Well, nice and simply, a simple way of testing your balance is to simply stand and then stand on one leg. You want to be able to try and hold this position without wobbling to the point where you need to put your other foot down for around 30 seconds. You can then compare that to the other side. And this is the important comparison. Can you not do it on either side? Or more commonly, we see a one-side weakness or a one-side imbalance. And that's something that we want to target straight away. Now, we can also make that exercise a little bit trickier in a couple of ways, and this is where our 3-point process comes into play. So I want to explain this now, as this will be important as we go through the video and start to build your balance exercise program. However, in order to make a exercise more specific to a balance exercise, we can do 3 things. We can give ourselves a challenge from below. We can give ourselves a balance challenge from above. And finally, we can take away a support system to help our brain so that it puts it all onto things like our ankles. So let me explain that a little bit further. So when we took that first exercise of standing on your single leg, we made it a more difficult exercise by reducing the base of support. We took one leg away and we gave ourselves a balance challenge from below. Now, we can also add to those balance challenges by using something like a cushion or a pillow that you might have around the home. What does this do? Well, this gives ourselves a balance challenge from below to make that more difficult, and it's going to be a more difficult test of your balance. So when testing your balance, now repeat that exercise, that single leg balance, but what you're looking to do now is to do it standing on a cushion or a pillow. Does this make it more difficult? Does it make it impossible for you? In which case, that's an exercise that you can get to work on straight away. Now, another point that I mentioned is we can take away a support system for our balance. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, our eyes can be very helpful in helping us with our balance. Let's think back to what I said about balance and proprioception being about a message being communicated to your brain. Now, this can come from our receptors. As I mentioned, a lot of these are in our ankles, speaking to our brain, or it can also be supported by our eyes. So what we can simply do to make any exercise more difficult and more of a balanced challenge is to close our eyes. So go back to that first exercise. Stand on one leg and now close your eyes. What do you find happen? You should suddenly find that you feel your ankle ligaments working a little bit harder, because they are now the sole message going to your brain. So we've taken away that support system of the eyes and the visual stimulus, and we've now made that harder. Again, is this highlighting difficulties for you from right to left? Because this can be a great and simple exercise that you can be doing every day in order to improve your balance. However, let's now talk about some more everyday activities that you are hopefully and probably doing already that you can just tweak a little bit to make them a balanced exercise. Firstly, a classic one that I give is cleaning your teeth, something that we're all doing daily. So why not kill 2 birds with 1 stone and improve your balance at the same time? We can think about our principles, and by simply balancing on one leg whilst cleaning our teeth, what we then will suddenly have is a balance challenge. Not only that, but I also mentioned another factor was giving ourselves a balance challenge from above. Now, by moving the hand around in the cleaning the teeth motion, you are moving your center of gravity. So not only are we on a single leg balance, giving yourself a balance challenge from below, but we're now moving our center of gravity above this, giving ourselves a balance challenge from above. All in all, a much trickier exercise, and I would encourage you to try 30 seconds on one side and then 30 seconds on the other. Can we improve this? Does this feel stronger as we continue this? And then we know we're improving our balance. Another exercise that you could take is something like doing the washing up. Again, what we can do, rather than standing on 2 feet to do this, stand on 1 foot. We have the same principles being applied. We've given ourselves a balance challenge from below, and we've also given ourselves a balance challenge from above. As we're moving the plates around and things, we're giving ourselves that balance challenge to make this a much more difficult exercise. But again, doing activities that we're doing daily, we can easily tweak them into a balance exercise to then be improving our balance, improving our foundations, and then the other exercise work that we're doing on top will be even more beneficial. I hope that some of this has been helpful so far. If it has, you can do me a favour by smashing that like button. But what I also wanted to speak about was a couple of exercises that can perhaps be a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more sport specific if you're somebody who's really looking to improve your balance in a dynamic way. Again, around the house, taking an object like a ball. And I often recommend the exercise of throwing a ball up against a wall while standing on one leg. Now again, start nice and simply by throwing the ball up against the wall at around chest height. We've given ourselves the balance challenge from below because we've gone on to one leg. But by now moving where we throw the ball, mixing up where we throw the ball on the wall, we give ourselves a balance challenge from above as we move our centre of gravity. And the more you throw the ball out to the side, or the more you throw it low and high, the harder and the bigger that challenge becomes, ultimately making that a more difficult exercise to be testing your balance and ultimately improving your balance. Now, a final exercise that I like to give to be really dynamic and really specific is taking an exercise that I would call a single leg hop onto a step. So again, if you've got a step that you can use, perhaps the bottom stair at home or an outside step, try simply hopping onto that step, holding that position, and then hopping back down again and holding that position. You will feel by just using that single leg in order to do that, once we then land and our centre of gravity is taken over the top of us, it becomes a much more difficult exercise to do. If you find that this is harder on one side than the other, there's your imbalance. And we can simply take these exercises and work on those daily, and you will feel the improvements happening through those ankle ligaments and ultimately a better message being sent to your brain. What you're doing here is you're improving your proprioception, improving your balance, and ultimately improving the foundations that you are now working on. Has that been helpful? I really hope it has. If it has, do me a favour and hit that like button, because that shows me that this is the type of content that you want to be seeing. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'm going to keep bringing you out more tips just like this, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. And as ever, if you have any questions, drop me a comment below and I'll be happy to answer those. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video.